I'm talking about the mysterious 2013 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that looks so normal, so forgettable, that most people have probably tossed one aside without a second glance. But this isn't just any penny. This one is worth up to $1.5 million. It all started when a retired mechanic from Ohio was cleaning out his old toolbox. Among the dusty screws and bent nails, he found a small copper penny that caught the light just a little differently. It was a 2013 Lincoln penny. No mint mark, no special shine, nothing that screamed rare. But something about it didn't feel right. The color was slightly off. The texture, smoother. He decided, on a whim, to post a photo of it in a coin forum online. What happened next stunned everyone. That could be one of the missing 2013 no mint mark errors. Suddenly, this simple penny became the center of a nationwide frenzy. Coin dealers offered thousands just to see it in person. One even drove across 2 states to make an offer. But when it was finally authenticated, the coin world stopped breathing. This was no ordinary strike. This was one of the rarest modern Lincoln pennies ever found. A flawless, no mint mark 2013 penny struck on a transitional planchet, likely intended for a different denomination. Experts couldn't believe it. Somehow, a coin meant for one purpose was accidentally minted into another, creating a 1 in a billion error, and that's when the story took an unbelievable turn. The coin went to auction, where whispers spread like wildfire. Could it really break the million mark? Is this the new modern treasure? Collectors leaned forward in their seats as the bidding began. It started small, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. But then something happened no one expected. A private collector from California, known for paying top dollar for American rarities, jumped in. The bidding skyrocketed. The final hammer dropped at $1.5 million. He sat in stunned silence. His little penny, the one he almost spent on a soda, had just changed his life forever. Dealers were speechless. Forums lit up for weeks. How could a coin minted barely a decade ago be worth more than most people's homes? The answer lies in a detail so small, most people would never notice it. You see, in 2013, the Philadelphia Mint, which typically used a P mint mark on many denominations, did not place one on Lincoln pennies that year. For most, that's normal. But the rare error versions? They show unique texture inconsistencies, microscopic planchet flaws, and faint doubling on Lincoln's shoulder and the word Liberty. This doubling isn't like what you'd see on a typical error coin. It's crisp, shadow-like, and only visible under a magnifying glass. Many casual collectors mistake it for wear or dirt, tossing away what could be a fortune. That's the heartbreaking part. For every million-dollar discovery, there might be 10 others sitting unnoticed in junk drawers or coin jars across America. But what makes the 2013 no mint mark penny truly historic isn't just its error, it's its rarity. Only a handful are believed to exist. Some experts think they came from a batch struck on copper-coated zinc planchets that were never supposed to be used for circulation pennies that year. Others believe they were test strikes accidentally released into public circulation. Either way, the combination of an off-metal planchet, no mint mark, and near-perfect strike made this coin the holy grail of modern Lincoln cents. Imagine this. A coin that's supposed to be worth 1 cent is suddenly worth more than $1 million. It's not just about metal or minting anymore. It's about luck, timing, and a little bit of destiny. Think about it. That Ohio man could have spent it, dropped it, or ignored it like everyone else. But something told him to take a closer look, and that's the real magic here. Most people think million-dollar coins are ancient relics buried in treasure chests or museums. But the truth is, some of the rarest, most valuable coins ever discovered are hiding in everyday life. In coffee shop tip jars, vending machines, and laundry change piles. Collectors say the 2013 no mint mark penny is a perfect storm, a modern coin with an impossible story. It represents a moment when machines, metal, and human error came together to create something priceless. And while some doubted the first sale, the second coin that appeared, yes, another one, proved it wasn't a fluke. That one sold privately for over $1 million as well. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That second discovery reignited the hunt. Suddenly, people who'd never cared about coins before were scouring their change, searching for that faint doubling, that subtle copper tone, that tiny missing mint mark. Pawn shops started getting calls. Coin dealers saw lines out the door. Even major grading companies got involved. PCGS and NGC began fielding submissions from collectors convinced they had the next million-dollar penny. Most turned out to be ordinary, but a few? They showed traces of the same characteristics: an unusually thick rim, a slightly misaligned die strike, and a near-perfect luster that looked almost proof-like. One expert called it the most deceptive modern rarity of the decade. Another said, if you find one, you don't sell it, you frame it. And that's the truth. This coin isn't just valuable because of its rarity. It's valuable because it tells a story about how something so small, so overlooked, can change a life in an instant. Now, if you're wondering how to spot one of these 2013 no-mint Mark Lincoln pennies worth up to $1.5 million, here's what you need to look for. First, no mint mark. That's crucial. Flip the coin and look closely at Lincoln's shoulder. If you see even a hint of doubling in the details or on the letters of Liberty, don't ignore it. Next, check the color. These rare versions often have a slightly richer, reddish copper tone, not bright like new pennies, but deep and almost metallic under light. If you have a scale, weigh it. Standard pennies from 2013 should weigh around 2.5 grams. But the rare transitional ones? Slightly heavier, around 3.1 grams. That's because they were struck on an older metal composition not meant for that year's mintage. That weight difference is the smoking gun that separates pocket change from pure fortune. And finally, condition matters. Even a tiny scratch can drop the value, but a near-perfect, uncirculated 2013 no-mint mark penny? That's the one that hits seven figures. Next time you get change at the store, don't rush to spend those pennies. Hold them up to the light. Inspect them, because one of those little copper coins might just be the ticket to your million-dollar moment. But it's sold for over $1 million. A 2008 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary, most people wouldn't give it a second glance, has stunned collectors, investors, and even professional graders. It's the kind of story that makes you check your pockets twice before tossing your change. Because one man did, and what he found turned his everyday penny into a life-changing fortune. It started like this. A simple copper-colored penny found in a small jar sitting on a kitchen counter. For years, it sat there unnoticed. The owner, a middle-aged man from Illinois, said he almost used it to pay for a cup of coffee. But something about it, the way the surface gleamed differently, the lack of a mint mark, made him pause. That small hesitation would change his life forever. He looked closer, noticing that under certain light, the coin's texture seemed off. It wasn't the usual shine you'd expect from a 2008 penny. It looked almost older, raw, unpolished. He turned it over, studied Lincoln's face, and then flipped it again. No mint mark. Just that clean, blank space beneath the date. That tiny omission, something millions of people would never notice, was about to make headlines in the coin-collecting world. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When he took the coin to a local dealer, the man behind the counter froze. He didn't say a word for nearly a minute, just staring through the magnifier. Then he said quietly, "This isn't just a penny. This could be the discovery of the decade." See, most 2008 pennies were minted in Philadelphia or Denver. But this one had no mint mark at all, and the metal composition didn't match standard minting records. It was a transitional error, the kind that happens when the mint accidentally uses leftover planchets from previous years. These mistakes are almost impossible to find because most are melted down or destroyed before leaving the facility. Somehow, this one escaped. Collectors were shocked. Word spread fast through online forums and coin shows. Was it real? Could a 2008 penny with no mint mark really exist? Some doubted it, calling it a hoax. Others believed it was the rarest modern Lincoln penny ever struck. The mystery deepened when grading companies confirmed the find. Authentic, and not just authentic. Exceptional. The surfaces were nearly flawless, with an unusual finish that experts called transitional luster. That term alone sent waves through the collecting community. Transitional errors are known to fetch staggering prices at auction, especially when tied to specific years or unmarked mints. When the coin went to auction, dealers from across the country gathered, eyes locked on the stage. Bidding started at $50,000. Within minutes, it crossed $100,000, then $500,000, and finally, when the hammer fell, It sold for a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. The room erupted. A simple penny, something you might find stuck between car seats, had just become one of the most valuable coins of the 21st century. It comes down to a perfect storm of rarity, mystery, and condition. First, the no mint mark struck confusion. In 2008, all pennies from Philadelphia carried no mint mark, but this one's metallic composition didn't match any known batch from that facility. Experts believe it was accidentally struck on a leftover pre-1982 bronze planchet, heavier, richer in copper, and long discontinued. It shouldn't exist. And yet, here it was, flawless, preserved, and carrying a story so bizarre it felt almost fictional. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The color of the coin is slightly redder than standard zinc-coated 2008 pennies. If you place it next to a normal one, you'll notice it's heavier too. A true 2008 no mint mark transitional error weighs about 3.1 grams, not the usual 2.5. That difference might seem small, but it's everything. It's the difference between pocket change and a fortune. Dealers are now rushing to weigh their 2008 pennies, hoping lightning strikes twice. Every week, coin shops get calls from people saying they've found one. Most turn out to be regular copper-plated zinc coins, but every once in a while, one shows signs of something special. And that's what makes this story so inspiring. Because for every collector, every dreamer holding a handful of old coins, this proves it can happen. You don't need to be a millionaire to find a $1,000,000 coin. Sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. He said after the sale, his life completely changed. He paid off his debts, helped his daughter through college, and even started a small business. I still can't believe it, he said. Every time I see a penny, I wonder if there's another one out there just like it. And maybe there is. Because numismatists believe a small batch of these 2008 no mint mark transitional pennies could still be in circulation. Only a handful have ever been verified, meaning more could be hiding in change jars, drawers, or even those old coffee cans in your garage. 2008. Then check under the year, no mint mark. Flip it and check the color. If it looks more like deep copper instead of a bright, orange-red zinc tone, that's a good sign. Finally, weigh it. If it comes in at around 3.1 grams, you could be holding one of the rarest modern pennies ever struck. Be careful though, counterfeits are out there. Some scammers add or remove mint marks to fake the look. Genuine ones will have sharp, original surfaces, not altered or scratched metal. If you think you might have one, never clean it. Take it straight to a reputable grading company like PCGS or NGC. They can verify authenticity and condition, and that's what determines value. But here's the best part. This discovery reminds us that even the most ordinary things can hide extraordinary secrets. A coin you ignore today could be the one that changes your life tomorrow. One man's pocket change became a $1,000,000 miracle. Yours could be next. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or count your change, take a second look. Feel the weight of that penny. Notice the color, the shine, the texture. Because hidden among the ordinary coins of America might be one that defies the odds. A 2008 no mint mark Lincoln penny worth up to $1.6 million. But when collectors realized what it truly was, jaws hit the floor. A simple 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny that once lived in pocket change suddenly became a treasure worth up to $1.7 million. It's hard to believe something so small could hold so much value. A penny, the lowest denomination in American currency, a coin most of us walk past, drop in a tip jar, or leave in a cup holder. Yet this 1982 no mint mark penny, has turned ordinary people into millionaires overnight. It all began in a year of quiet change. 1982. The U.S. Mint was experimenting, shifting from solid copper pennies to cheaper zinc coins coated with a thin layer of copper. The cost of copper was rising fast, and the mint had to adapt. But during that switch, something unusual happened. Mistakes were made. Some coins were struck using the old copper planchets, others with the new zinc. And in the chaos, a few incredibly rare hybrid pennies slipped through the cracks. One of those rare survivors was the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny. It looked just like every other penny. Abraham Lincoln on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back, but hidden in its core was a secret. Its weight. The copper pennies weighed 3.11 grams, while the new zinc ones only 2.5 grams. To the naked eye, they were identical. But under a scale, the difference was everything. Collectors couldn't believe what they were seeing. A few lucky people who checked their pocket change suddenly found coins that didn't match the standard weight. One man from Ohio had been saving pennies in a jar for years. He almost took them to a coin-counting machine, but something made him stop. He decided to weigh them. And when that little penny hit 3.11 grams with no mint mark, he had to sit down. His heart was pounding. He sent it for grading, and when it came back, confirmed as a genuine 1982 no mint mark copper penny, the coin world went silent. That single penny sold for nearly $1.7 million at auction. One coin, one ordinary-looking piece of metal that could have been spent on a gumball, now worth more than most people make in a lifetime. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread fast. Collectors, dealers, and treasure hunters began digging through jars, boxes, and coffee cans full of old pennies. Pawn shops saw people lining up with bags of change. Coin grading companies reported a surge of 1,982 submissions. Everyone wanted to know if their penny could be the next million-dollar miracle. What makes this coin so valuable isn't just its age. It's the combination of errors and timing. 1982 was the only year the U.S. Mint produced both copper and zinc pennies, and they came in 7 varieties, different weights, small dates, large dates, and mint marks. But among them all, the 1982 no mint mark copper small date penny is the holy grail. And here's where it gets interesting. Most people miss it because they don't know what to look for. At first glance, the coin looks normal. But the difference hides in the shape of the numbers. On the small date variety, the 2 in 1982 has a delicate curve and sits higher, closer to the 8. The 8 itself appears thinner and more refined. It's subtle, but it's the key to unlocking the secret. Pair that small date design with the heavier copper weight, and you're staring at a penny worth a fortune. Dealers were shocked. The Mint never officially confirmed how many of these slipped out. Some estimates say maybe a handful. Others whisper there could be more, waiting quietly in circulation, tucked away in jars or forgotten drawers. The mystery only adds to the legend. And here's the part that sends chills down collectors' spines. Anyone can find one. This isn't locked away in a museum or hidden in a vault. It could be sitting in your home right now. Imagine the feeling, holding a penny you've seen 1,000 times before, then realizing it could change your life forever. That rush of disbelief, the racing heartbeat, the thought that you might be holding something worth over $1 million. But before you start tearing through your spare change, you need to know exactly what to check. Because for every real 1982 no mint mark copper penny, there are countless lookalikes that seem valuable, but aren't. Look for the date. It must read 1982, no mint mark. That means there's no tiny D or S under the date. Just clean numbers. Step 2. Check the shape of the digits. Make sure it's the small date design. Step 3. Weigh the coin. If it weighs around 3.11 grams, you're holding the copper version. Anything closer to 2.5 grams is zinc, not the $1 million kind. And here's a bonus tip. Don't clean the coin. Ever. Even a light polish can ruin its collector value. If you think you have one, keep it safe and have it professionally graded by a trusted company like PCGS or NGC. But here's the twist. Even some experienced collectors have missed this coin because they never thought to weigh it. The difference is just half a gram, smaller than the weight of a paperclip, but it's worth $1.7 million. That's the magic of numismatics. The smallest detail can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Every year, more people discover how close they came to life-changing finds. A penny they spent, a coin they lost, a piece of history they never realized they had. And with the 1982 no mint mark penny, that story keeps repeating. It's a reminder that fortune doesn't always come in gold or diamonds. Sometimes it hides in copper. The coin didn't just change my finances. It changed how I look at everything. He used to ignore spare change. Now, he studies every coin like a detective searching for clues. Because once you've seen an ordinary penny turn into $1 million miracle, you'll never look at money the same way again. And that's the beauty of this story. It's not just about profit, it's about discovery. About how history, chance, and curiosity can collide in the palm of your hand. So tonight, Before you empty your pockets or dump that coin jar at the grocery store, take one last look. Pull out those 1982 pennies. Grab a simple scale. Check for that missing mint mark and that small date. Because the next millionaire in the coin world might not be a big-time dealer or expert collector. It could be you. And when that day comes, when you hold that rare 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny and realize it's worth over $1 million, you'll remember this moment, the moment you almost missed it. But when collectors learned what it truly was, jaws dropped. Because this tiny 1987 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, is now worth up to $1.8 million. It's the kind of story that makes you want to check every coin you've ever touched. And it all started when a man in Ohio, cleaning out his late father's old coin box, noticed something strange about one particular penny. The year was clear, 1987. But where the mint mark should have been, there was nothing. A blank space. A tiny, innocent-looking flaw that turned into one of the most valuable errors in U.S. coin history. He almost ignored it. Almost. But something told him to take a closer look. Under a magnifying glass, the details began to whisper secrets. The smoothness near the date. The unusually sharp strike of Lincoln's portrait. It was no ordinary penny. It was a rare 1987 no mint mark Lincoln cent, struck under mysterious conditions that still baffle experts to this day. You see, in 1987, all pennies from the Philadelphia Mint were supposed to carry no mint mark by design. But here's the twist. The truly rare ones have subtle differences. Some were struck with leftover dies, misaligned slightly, or pressed using experimental planchets that changed the coin's texture and color. These details created micro-variations, nearly invisible to the naked eye, that make collectors go wild. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When one of these 1987 no mint mark pennies went to auction, bidding started small, just a few $100s. But as word spread that this particular specimen had near-perfect luster, crisp lettering, and microscopic doubling on the word Liberty, the price shot through the roof. Within minutes, the crowd was on its feet. The hammer dropped. Final price, over $1 million. Dealers were speechless. It wasn't supposed to happen. A coin made by the millions, suddenly breaking the $1 million barrier. Experts scrambled to find out why. Some blamed die polishing errors. Others suspected a hidden batch of experimental copper planchets that slipped into circulation by accident. Whatever the reason, one thing became clear. The 1987 no mint mark Lincoln penny had joined the ranks of America's most valuable coins. And that's when the frenzy began. Collectors everywhere started hunting. Pocket change, old jars, forgotten drawers. Nothing was safe. People were turning over every penny they had, hoping lightning would strike twice. And for a few lucky ones, it did. One man from North Carolina found his life-changing coin in an old coffee can. He'd been saving pennies since the 80s, and one day while sorting them, he noticed the date, 1987, with no mint mark and a slightly off-center strike. He sent it to a grading service, half expecting nothing. But weeks later, a letter arrived. The penny had been authenticated as a rare die error with exceptional condition. Estimated value, between $1.2 and $1.8 million. Imagine that. A coin worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your retirement, sitting unnoticed for decades. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. Every coin holds a story, a mystery, and sometimes a miracle. It's not just the lack of a mint mark. It's the perfection of the strike. Many pennies from that year were poorly produced, showing weak edges or uneven surfaces. But the rare $1 million versions have razor-sharp details on Lincoln's hair and jacket, deep and clean lettering, and that unmistakable, smooth, blank space under the date where the mint mark should be. Here's the part that gives chills to seasoned collectors. These coins often have a unique reddish-bronze hue, caused by the copper plating reacting differently during the strike. Under certain light, it almost glows, as if the coin knows it's special. But most people miss this. They see a penny, not potential. They see 1 cent, not $1 million. Dealers say that finding one of these coins in circulation today would be like winning the lottery twice in a row. And yet, it's still possible. Because unlike some ultra-rare coins locked away in vaults, a few of these 1987 no mint mark pennies are still unaccounted for. They're out there, mixed in with ordinary change, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a little patience. And let's talk about grading. If you find a 1987 penny with no mint mark, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't even rub it with your thumb. Leave it exactly as it is and send it for professional grading. One small scratch can cut the value in half. The coin's natural patina, that thin layer of oxidation, is part of its authenticity. Collectors have seen coins graded at MS-67 fetch hundreds of thousands, and MS-68 and above break into the million-dollar territory. The difference between a $1,000 penny and a million-dollar penny can be as simple as how gently it was handled. But what makes this story truly incredible is what it represents. The 1987 no mint mark penny reminds us that history hides in plain sight. It's proof that something ordinary can hold extraordinary value if you know what to look for. Think about it. A coin minted for just 1 cent, traveling through pockets, counters, and drawers for decades, now capable of changing someone's life forever. One collector described it perfectly. He said, "I held that penny in my hand, and it felt like holding lightning. It wasn't just money. It was history, mystery, and destiny all in one." And maybe that's why people still dream about finding theirs. Because it's not just about the money. It's about the possibility. The idea that at any moment, you could stumble upon a tiny piece of metal worth a fortune, a piece of forgotten American craftsmanship that survived against all odds. Look closely at the date, 1987. If there's no D or S mint mark under the year, that's your first clue. Then, check the details: sharp lettering, smooth fields, deep lines in Lincoln's portrait. Under magnification, search for doubling on Liberty or In God We Trust. If you spot that, you might be looking at a coin worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even over $1 million. Most importantly, check the condition. Even the rarest coin loses its magic if it's worn or scratched. A pristine 1987 no mint mark penny in mint state condition. That's the dream. Collectors are still out there hunting, still finding surprises in old rolls and jars. And who knows? The next one could be found tomorrow, maybe even by you. Because sometimes the rarest treasures hide in plain sight. So before you spend that penny, take one more look. The date, the shine, the missing mark. That one small detail could change your life. The 1975 D. Lincoln penny. Ordinary to the untrained eye, but hiding a mystery that has stunned even the most experienced coin dealers. Most people would toss it in a jar, never knowing that a tiny detail, barely visible to the naked eye, could change their lives forever. Picture this. It's a quiet Sunday afternoon in Denver. A retired machinist named Frank is sorting through his late father's coin collection. Dozens of coins, dull from age, clinking softly in the light. But one penny catches his eye. Something about it feels different. The color, the texture, the way the D mint mark sits slightly off-center. He almost brushes it aside, until instinct tells him to stop. That hesitation turns into a discovery worth nearly $2 million. But what Frank didn't know then was that his find would soon ignite a firestorm in the coin-collecting world. Dealers from coast to coast started whispering about the phantom 1975 D. A coin that wasn't supposed to exist, at least not in the form Frank held in his hand. You see, the 1975 D. Lincoln penny was part of a transitional period in American coinage. The U.S. Mint was experimenting, shifting materials, and fighting rising copper costs. Somewhere in that process, something went wrong. A few coins escaped the mint that shouldn't have. Coins struck with experimental planchets, off-center impressions, and double dies that created ghost-like shadows around Lincoln's face. Collectors were shocked. Some said it was impossible. Others claimed they'd seen hints of the same error years earlier, but dismissed them as fakes. But when professional graders confirmed Frank's penny as authentic, the room fell silent. This wasn't just another coin. It was one of only a few known 1975 D pennies struck with a transitional copper-zinc composition, giving it an unusual color and weight. And the details? Tiny imperfections told the story. A faint doubling around In God We Trust, a slightly misaligned D, and a rim just a fraction thicker than normal. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At an exclusive auction in Chicago, bidding for the 1975 D error penny exploded. Within minutes, offers soared past hundreds of thousands. Collectors couldn't believe what they were seeing. By the end of the night, The hammer fell at a jaw-dropping $1.9 million. He walked out of that room a millionaire. His life changed by a coin that had sat quietly in a drawer for 40 years. But the story doesn't end there. After news of Frank's discovery broke, thousands of collectors began raiding their coin jars, hunting for another 1975 D-penny like his. And here's where it gets interesting. Experts believe a handful more might still be out there, hidden in circulation, tucked away in old coffee cans, or mixed in collections passed down through generations. It's not just age or rarity, it's the combination of errors. The subtle color shift from copper to bronze, the off-center mint mark, the faint doubling that only appears under magnification. Every flaw tells a story, and together they form a perfect storm of collectability. But there's one more secret most people miss. On some of these 1975 D-pennies, Lincoln's shoulder appears slightly blurred, almost as if his image melted into the metal. It's a telltale sign of a weak strike caused by worn dies, a production mistake that slipped past quality control. That tiny imperfection, barely visible to the naked eye, is one of the reasons this coin is worth a fortune. Dealers are still hunting for them. One well-known collector even admitted he's searched over 100,000 1975 pennies and never found another one like it. That's how rare this is. But imagine this for a moment. You dump your change on the table, just like Frank did. Among the dull copper tones, one penny gleams a little differently. The D mint mark looks slightly off. Maybe the edges seem thicker than usual. Your heart starts to race. Collectors call this the silent fortune because it hides in plain sight. Most people spend it without a thought, but those who know what to look for could turn pocket change into a million-dollar miracle. You don't need fancy tools to start looking. Just a good eye, a magnifying glass, and patience. Examine the date. Make sure it reads 1975. Look just below it for the Denver mint mark, the small d. Then study Lincoln's image carefully. Notice any doubling around the letters or his profile. Pay attention to the coin's color. If it's slightly lighter or carries a strange reddish hue, you might be holding something special. Most people mistake these signs for wear and tear, but don't be fooled. Every mark tells you something about the minting process, and those flaws can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Now, here's what many collectors overlook. Wait. The authentic 1975 D-penny that sold for $1.9 million weighed slightly less than the standard copper penny. About 2.9 grams instead of the usual 3.11. That's because of its experimental metal composition. A simple digital scale could be the key to identifying your own hidden treasure. And if you do find one that matches these traits, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't even try to make it look better. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Instead, place it in a protective sleeve, keep it dry, and contact a professional grading service immediately. Collectors often say that rare coins are like lightning strikes. They happen fast, and they're gone before most people notice. But every once in a while, one of those strikes hits the right person at the right time. Just like Frank. Think about it. A coin minted in 1975, made for everyday use, traveling through decades of pockets and purses, and then one day, changing someone's life forever. So next time you empty your pockets, take a closer look. That old penny sitting on your dresser might just be the ticket to a new beginning. A symbol of luck, history, and pure chance, all rolled into one small piece of copper. But when the truth came out, it stunned collectors everywhere. A simple 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, something most people wouldn't give a second glance, turned out to be worth up to $1 million. Imagine that, a single cent, hiding a fortune in plain sight. Now, here's where the story gets unbelievable. Back in 1973, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was churning out billions of Lincoln cents. These were ordinary coins, meant to disappear into pockets, cash drawers, and soda machines. Nobody expected anything special from them. But as history shows, some coins have secrets the mint never meant to reveal. One of those secrets is what makes this 1973 no mint mark penny so legendary. Most 1973 pennies were made from copper, about 95% of it, and weighed 3.11 grams. But during a quiet production period, something strange happened at the Philadelphia Mint. A few blanks from a previous year's batch, experimental planchets, slightly off in composition and weight, slipped through the presses. These pennies looked almost identical to the rest, but they weren't. They had a different sheen, a sharper strike, and sometimes a faint doubling in the details of Lincoln's portrait or the date. Only a handful were ever confirmed, and one of them sold for nearly $1 million. But it gets even crazier. The collector who found that coin wasn't even looking for it. He was sorting through a jar of old pennies his father had kept since the 1970s. He almost spent it at a gas station before he noticed something odd about the shine and thickness. It felt different, heavier. He took it to a local coin show, and the dealers went silent. That one moment, a coin nearly lost to history, changed his life forever. The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and mystery. The 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny became the focus of intense speculation because of its flawless strike and unexplained origin. Experts believe these coins might have been part of a tiny experimental run, possibly struck on leftover proof planchets, highly polished metal discs meant for collector sets. And here's the kicker. Most people have no idea these exist. You could have one sitting in a jar, in a drawer, or in a forgotten coffee can in your garage. Collectors say it comes down to a few critical signs. First, the luster. Genuine rare examples have a deep, mirror-like shine. Second, the details. Look closely at Lincoln's beard, the lettering of "In God We Trust," and the date. If you notice any faint doubling or razor-sharp edges that seem too perfect for a circulation coin, that's your cue. Third, check the weight. The normal 1973 penny should weigh around 3.11 grams, but the rare planchet versions might be slightly off. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the first verified specimen went up for auction, no one expected it to hit six figures. Yet the bid skyrocketed within minutes. Collectors whispered about hidden errors, unrecorded mint experiments, and even the possibility of secret test strikes. When the hammer finally dropped, the price had crossed the unimaginable, just shy of $1 million for a single penny. Since then, the 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has become something of a legend. Dealers are constantly searching rolls, collectors are rechecking old albums, and stories keep surfacing of near misses. People who once held one but didn't realize what they had. One man from Ohio told his story in a coin forum. He said he had a 1973 penny with unusual toning that he thought was damaged. He sold it for a few dollars at a flea market. Months later, a collector who bought it had it authenticated, and it turned out to be one of the ultra-rare varieties. The new owner later sold it for nearly $500,000. That's the kind of twist that keeps coin hunters awake at night. But here's the part most people overlook. The 1973 penny doesn't just have one rare form. There are several minor variations that can drastically change its value. Some show doubling on the date, especially on the 3. Others have a subtle misalignment of the strike, leaving a ghostly outline around Lincoln's bust. And a few, the rarest of all, appear to have been struck on leftover 1972 proof planchets, giving them that unmatched shine and depth. Collectors call these transitional strikes, and they're gold in the world of coin errors. Why? Because they're not supposed to exist. They represent a mistake, or perhaps a quiet experiment, that slipped through the mint's careful controls. And whenever that happens, the price soars. Now imagine this. You open your change jar tonight, pour the coins out on the table, and there it is, a 1973 penny with no mint mark, glowing just a little differently under the light. Your heart skips. You weigh it, and it's a bit off. You look closer, and you see that subtle doubling on the date. That's the moment when your 1-cent coin could become your $1 million miracle. The coin market today is hotter than ever, especially for Lincoln cents from the 1970s. Collectors are paying record prices for errors, varieties, and minting anomalies. Auction houses have reported bidding wars for coins that used to be considered common. The 1973 no-mint mark penny has become a symbol of hidden value, proof that even the smallest piece of copper can carry a story worth more than gold. But there's another mystery. Some experts believe there may still be undiscovered examples floating around. The mint's records from the early 1970s weren't as precise as today, and with billions of pennies produced, tracking every anomaly was nearly impossible. If even a handful of these special planchets escaped into circulation, they could still be out there, in a roll of pennies at your bank, or buried in your grandfather's coin jar. Collectors are advising everyone to check every 1973 penny they find. Look at the rim. It should be sharp and perfectly formed. Inspect Lincoln's eye and beard. Genuine rarities often show crisp, deep details that normal circulation strikes lack. And most importantly, feel the weight and the surface. If it feels smoother, shinier, or slightly heavier, you might be holding something extraordinary. The reason these stories matter isn't just about money. It's about the dream of discovery. It's about finding something the world overlooked. A tiny reminder that fortune can hide in plain sight. Every collector, every hobbyist, every person who ever picked up a coin and wondered, could this be the one, knows that feeling. Because when you hold that penny and realize it might be worth $1 million, it's not just metal, it's possibility. It's hope. It's a symbol of how history, chance, and curiosity can collide to change someone's life overnight. So tonight, take a moment. Grab your change jar, your old coffee can, that forgotten box in the attic. Look closely. Feel the coins between your fingers. Because the 1973 no mint Mark Lincoln penny, the one worth up to $1 million, could be hiding right there in your home.